Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press conference for the Volvo Ocean Race and our stopover in Cardiff. I'd like to welcome the skippers up to the stage, and then we'll get started right away. So Charles Caudrelier, Dongfeng Race Team, the overall race leader. Charles, if you could come up, please. Xabi Fernandez on Mapfre. Bauer Becking of Team Brunel. Simeon Tienpont, Team AkzoNobel. Charlie Enright, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. David Witt, SHK Scallywag. And a very excited Dee Kafari, Turn the Tide on Plastic. Welcome. Thank you. Well, we're at the sharp end of the event now. The men and the women that you see here have led their teams all the way around the world now, more than 40,000 nautical miles through some of the most incredible and isolated waters in the world. And now, after 8 months of racing, the Volvo Ocean Race is back in European waters. Just 2 legs remain, and the leaderboard is incredibly tight. Charles, your Dongfeng Race Team, you've got a 1-point lead over Mapfre, the hottest boat in the fleet, a 1-2-1 scoreline on the last 3 legs. Bauer Becking's Team Brunel, just a couple of points further back. It really couldn't be any closer. We've got 2 legs left. Every point counts. Charles, this is the second time you've taken the lead in the race, the overall race lead. What do you have to do to finish it off? What do you have to do to hold it?
To keep it. No, but I think we don't have so much choice. We have to be ahead of Brunel and Mapfre on the next one, I think. And so we are going to focus on that.
In terms of strategy, what changes when the leaderboard is so close and you're getting this close to the end?
I think there is not really strategy. Before, maybe we play a bit too much match racing with Mapfre. And now we have another boat in the game, so I think we just have to race and see what's happened. Maybe at the end of the leg, we be a time to think about controlling or doing something, but the leader is very short.
All right.
Choice.
Xabi, I think it's fair to say it's maybe been a difficult couple of months. You guys looked so strong in the first half of the race, maybe a little bit more than the first half. You haven't had the results you'd want from the team recently. What do you have to change? How do you turn it around?
Well, I don't think... Is it working? Yeah. I don't think we have to change too many things. We've done very good legs, and obviously the last one wasn't that good for us. But we're thinking changing not much. Of course, we have debrief and what we've done, but it's different leg coming out, and I think it's better for us. And we'll try to start strong and keep the whole leg pushing the whole way.
Bauer, you were as far back as 5th, I think, on the leaderboard when you came into Auckland. You've come up to 3rd. You're the hottest boat in the fleet. Now that a race win is becoming realistic now, you're right in contention. Does the pressure come on? Does that change things? You've been sailing without too much pressure the last few legs.
Pressure is on these guys. They are ahead of us, and we just have to beat them. Like what I said in Newport, that's the task. Beat the 2 red boats, and then we're getting closer, and we will see what's going to happen in the last leg. That will be a great finish. If it's going to happen on the last leg, maybe even in the last import. Who knows?
All right, Simeon, this next leg up to Gothenburg, can you give us a little bit of a preview of this leg? What can we expect as we leave Cardiff on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, different circumstances. This upcoming leg, it's not too long, of course, but I think it's going to be light out of here. And then it's funny, it's quite exceptional that we have a high pressure sitting so long in this part of the world. I think the same ridge where we went into when we came here for the finish, that's sort of moving towards us. So we'll have a bit of light wind to cross that. And after that, up north on the Atlantic, and then around the top of the UK and into Norway, to Sweden, Gothenburg.
Perfect. Charlie and Dee, this is a question for both of you. Both of you have teams that carry a very strong environmental message through some of your partnerships. What have you seen along the way on this race? What have you learned along the way on this race that sort of concerns you, and also hopefully you find some hope in as well? Charlie, we'll start with you on that, and then Dee, if you could answer the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know if this thing's on, but when we began this race, we were sailing for more than just the trophy. We were sailing to be the most sustainable team in the race and spread our message of sustainability to as many people as we could. Don't know what's going on here, but
Sound guys.
you know, we saw certainly a lot of things over the course of the race that were a bit disheartening, you know, when it comes to marine plastic and marine debris, but we've also learned through the ocean movement, through a lot of the other things that we've been through, that, you know, there is hope and that we can make a difference, and we feel like, you know, the way we spread the message is only helpful.
All right. Thank you. And the similar question there in terms of what you've seen that concerns you, frankly, as you've sailed around, and in contrast, what gives you hope?
Well, I think to echo what Charlie's saying and what everyone's seeing, what's highlighted the issue for us on Turn the Tide on Plastic is the data that we've managed to collect with the microplastics, the harsh reality that even when we can't see it, it's still there. And it is an issue, and it's only coming from us. So the fact that we're able to amplify the message to reach so many people through a sporting event is fantastic, because as we all know, we all just need to make a small change to have a big impact. And I think that is happening. We're leaving a legacy in the 12 host cities that we're going to, and it's something to be pretty proud of alongside the sporting event. The two things have run parallel, and it's a genuine concern for us, given that the ocean's our playground and our office.
Thank you, Dee. David, earlier in this race, your team had successful legs coming in and out of Hong Kong and China. It seems like it's a little long ways away now. But as you look into these last two legs, what would it mean for your team? You've got a lot of supporters. If you could replicate that success, maybe get on the podium in one of these last two legs.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. We want to do a good job. We've had two pretty poor performances since a disaster, so I think for us going forward, it's pretty important we get a decent result in one way or form for the rest of the race. But, you know, more importantly, I can't get a bet on. Do you know where I can get a bet on? I've been running around all Cardiff trying to work out how I get 10,000 quid on Bowie to win the race. No one wants to take the bet. So in Australia, we love to have a punt.
Yeah.
The biggest yacht race in Australia is the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. We all have a punt on it. So I just thought maybe if someone in the room, or more importantly, maybe one of the guys in the red shirts want to take my bet for 10,000 quid that Brunel will win. If I'd spent 20 million euro of my sponsors' money, I'd want to be pretty confident I could put my own $1,000 up, wouldn't I? Anyone want to take the bet? Anyone want to back against Bowie? Charlie, you get plenty of money. No?
Maybe they're concerned they've got to meet you twice on the start line still, David.
Can't get a bet in Europe, eh? What's going on?
All right, we have some questions that we have coming in from social media, but I'd like to put things out to the floor yet for any of the media out here. So please raise your hand, tell us where you're coming from. I think we'll have a microphone for you as well, and we'll put those questions out. Any questions for the guys here?
That was easy.
That was easy. All right, you're not off the hook yet, though. We did have some come in from social media, we have some great questions here. The biggest challenge on the route to Gothenburg. This comes in from Carolina Linden. What's the biggest challenge on the route to Gothenburg? Simeon, you already told us about this a little bit. Abby, what do you think is, when you look ahead to this leg, is the toughest part of it?
Well, it's going to be plenty of tough places, I'm sure, but you know, the start is looking already tricky, and going south of Ireland is going to be tricky already. So, you know, let's see how we are all in Fastnet and how we start heading north.
All right. Charlie, any thoughts on this leg in terms of the briefing you've had from Anderson and looking ahead into the forecast?
Yeah, I think you know, getting out of the Bristol Channel could certainly be really tricky. A lot of tide and not a ton of wind, at least to start with. And then, you know, Simeon referenced the high pressure ridge, which is sitting just to the west of Ireland. I mean, it seems like the speed at which that's moving east changes run to run. So, you know, it could be a little bit easier as we go offshore and makes the tactics kind of simple, or it could be quicker and we could be going up the coast. So watching how that plays out is going to be pretty critical as well.
All right, thank you. Sonia O'Keefe wrote in and asked us, how has the Volvo Ocean Race changed each of you? Would you do the race again? Bawa, somebody who's done this 8 times. How has the race impacted you over the years as you've done it? And do you find that you do come out of it a different man at the end of each edition?
Well, I think first of all, I'm I think 34 years older than the first time I did it. And of course, it has a huge impact on you. It's first of all, you see the involvement of sailing. And I think just as well how the event has grown as an event as such. It's a world-class event right now. And it just has a huge impact on sailing in general. Now I speak especially regarding the Netherlands. But as well, I think the big change has been this time that we had 2 female sailors on board. That's a great opportunity for them. That's another, I think, a major one what there is. And then I think just in general, just the whole level has been going up and up year by year. Even compared to last time, the level has still gone up. So I think that's credit to all the teams and the skippers who selected their boys and girls. So it has been, it's still fun. And that's, I think that's the main part why you're doing it. If there's no fun anymore, there's no place for you in the Volvo Ocean Race.
All right. Thank you for that. Another question that's come in is from Vincent Anfi. He's talking about a new class of boat for the race. And he's saying, would you rather see a Volvo 70 2.0, in other words, a boat that's maybe one design, fairly robust, but a little bit bigger, a little bit more modern than what we've had, or a new class with the Amoca-like foiling systems and things like that for the future editions? Dee, what would be your choice if you were selecting the boat for the next Volvo Ocean Race?
I think it's an interesting discussion that's obviously going on behind the scenes all the time. As an IMOCA sailor, you know, they're a buzz to sail. But the fleet racing that we've had, the intensity of the racing we've had, has been like no other fleet out there at the moment. The fact that you can do 5,000 miles and finish within 25 minutes of each other as a whole fleet is impressive. And the reliability. So it's a little bit in the balance. And I think as sailors, we want to have the premier event push technology and be groundbreaking and have that filter down as the previous editions of the race did. But there's also the cost impact. You know, to do this race, you need investment, you need sponsors to get excited by it and back it, and that's the battle in the economic climate that we're in. So it's a little bit that without the investors, there's no race, but without the excitement, the sailors don't get excited, and it's that balance that you have to meet. That was a very politically correct answer with no decision.
What you're trying to say is just build whatever you like.
Build a boat, have a race, and let's get excited by it.
Charles, where would you come down on this divide if it were up to you?
I think she did a very good summarize. It's not obvious what is the choice. So I don't really know today. It's a good question. It's an important question for the race. And of course, if I just think about with boat, I would like, everybody know I would like to sail on multi-hull, but we know it's not maybe the best solution. So I think we don't have the good solution today, and we have to think about it. But I think the Mocha 60 maybe a bit small and not strong enough for what we are doing, but we can change the rules.
All right, thank you. The last question we had come in was from John Callender on Twitter, and he wanted to know, besides yourself, which of the other skippers do you think is the most intensely competitive? David, you've gotten to know this group of characters over the last 8 months. How do you rate the competitive level here? Who's, or is that a very difficult question?
Oh, shabby by a mile.
Easy question then.
I go to the pub, he goes and rides his bike.
Xavi's most competitive. Simeon, where do you come in on this?
It's hard to say. There's so many aspects, you know. It's not only competitives on the water, but that's the, I think, the good fun and the fun of sailing is to competitives that's already there when you start these campaigns 2.5 years back, and to bring all the pieces of the puzzles together. And I mean, for me, got a lot of respect for my neighbor here, you know, who's done that battle twice as well, putting a campaign from the ground up. And I think yeah, that shows real competitiveness from the beginning instead of just stepping on the boat.
All right, thank you. Now, Bauer, you referenced earlier the woman on board in this race, and our producer back in Alicante, Digby Fox, wanted me to ask a couple of questions around that. So there is a rule, a crew rule in this race that gives incentive to having at least 2 female crew members on board each boat. And at the time when it was announced, it certainly generated a lot of comment. It's 8 months later. You guys have done a full lap of the planet now. So in practice, how has it gone? And maybe we'll start with you, Charles. What's it been like having 2 female crew members on board the boat?
Well, it's good. I think we have 2 nice girls on board. I prefer to spend time with women than with men, so I'm happy instead of passing 9 months with only men. But about sailing, what is good is I think it's positive because I think sometimes when we are only between men, we are a bit rude, and to have girl on board, more soft, and it's good.
So I spoke to one of your crew members, Carolyn Barrow, about this a couple of days ago, and she spoke about the opportunity to learn and be with the most experienced men sailors in the sports. But what have you guys learned from them? From you have Caroline, you have Justine Matreau and Marie Roux. What do you guys learn from?
I think Caroline has been a fantastic example for us because she knew she was here because of the rules, but she didn't want to be there only because of the rules. So every training, every time we go sailing, every time she was 100%, and we are only 3 on board to have done all the leg, and she never gave up. And when you watch her, it's a good example.
Simeon, you have an Olympic gold medalist on board your boat. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, now we have an Olympic gold medalist, and not to forget also a very young, talented girl as well, the youngest in the race. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's still as when I started. You know, we're all sailors, but of course there are differences, and especially I guess in communication and how you make that work on the boat. I mean, everyone has his own skills. I mean, and it's all about, you know, for a skipper to put the people in the right place, in the position they're strong at. It doesn't make a difference in an organization or on a boat of a racing yacht if it's a man or woman or if it's a Russian or a Dutchman. So if everyone is happy and can do his skill the best, you know, you really perform well. And I think we've been working with Martine and Emily from the beginning, and they've done an incredible job. And I think looking back now, it's especially the communication that's the strong point. I think if you have a group of men, you have a certain way of communicating with each other, and it just might be sometimes a bit primitive. And certainly now you get more discussion in, and there's more openness, and that raises the level of the competitiveness between each other, but also on board. So I think it's a huge success, and I think it's been a huge opportunity for offshore sailing to bring more talent into the sport, right?
Thank you. If we look forward, what has to happen in the future at the top events in our sport, the Vendée Globe, the Volvo Ocean Race, the America's Cup, the Olympics, so that this isn't the story anymore?
I think it's all about the pathway. So we've had a huge step forward with the Volvo Ocean Race. We've got girls in every team. So a female will be part of the winning team of the Volvo Ocean Race this edition. But it's beyond this. When the circus leaves town, all the guys have got gigs lined up and sailing lined up, and the girls are still trying to find that opportunity, find that ride. Because if we spend 4 years where they're not given the opportunity to drive or to trim or to gain experience, we're in exactly the same place in 4 years' time. And, you know, these guys have politically correct, said nice things, and they've ticked the girl box. But, you know, have all the girls actively sailed the boat at the same level? Have they been treated the same? Are they financially treated the same? You know, I don't know, because I can't speak for any other team. But the truth is, in 4 years' time, if this happens organically and girls are automatically in the crew, then we've moved forwards. And I think we're still a really long way from that, if we were honest.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any further questions from the floor? Yeah, Andy.
Charles Caudrelier, you've made 3 changes to your crew this weekend. This is more than you've made in any of the previous legs. Why have you done that?
Well, it was on the plane, so we always have rotation with a Chinese guy, and Black was injured last time, so we didn't change last time, but we changed this time. We have also Justine replacing Marie. So Justine was part of the team on the leg going to Hong Kong, and she did a fantastic job. And she was our backup, and Marie wanted a small break, so we take Justine, and it's good. We trust her 100%. And the last one is Fabien. Fabien has done the leg in Melbourne. Going to Melbourne, he did a fantastic job. One of our best drivers. He's in charge of the performance, and we thought he could be good. And Jeremy was not available with his boat, so it was on the plane since the start. So it's not a big change for us.
Will he be helping with some navigation? Is that a reason you brought him on?
Yes, also Fabien is a Figaro specialist, so he's very good on this kind of leg. And I know his input will be very important, and I'm very happy he's on board with us.
Thank you. And just to Xavi, some people around the dock have been saying that some of your crew look a little tired. You haven't done any rotation at all? Do you think there's any chance that some of the recent results, less good, have been because you haven't done any rotation of your crew?
Come on. You won him to Newport. He's not that bad.
Well, we won, yes.
Come on.
I was trying to remember we won in Newport, yes, but and the last one I honestly don't think was anyone's tiredness, which we obviously didn't jive in the right place. So I don't know. Of course we started being tired, but I think I go around them and I tell you, no one wants to step off, and everyone is very highly motivated for this leg.
And just a quick one to Bauer. Do you ever look back on the finish in Newport and with angst, those 2 points would put you within a point of the win right now in an amazing comeback?
Every morning.
I think I can look at all the results. We just know that's yard racing, and you can get really upset by it, but that's just how it goes. I can't change the past, and that's how we just approach everything. You just have to keep your heads cool, and the guy who's winning, goes first over the line, is the winner. So that's simple as that.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Any other questions? All right, we're going to take a break now. We'll do the photo call. For those of you, we do have the import race starting at 2 p.m. this afternoon. And just a change compared to other leg starts on Sunday, the start time for the leg is at 4 p.m. local time. Thank you.